Remix. 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 Remix.
What it do, niggas?
¿Qué pasó, negro?
¿Qué pasó? Okay, so what does that mean? Because my Haitian friend says that.
What's happening, Black?
Oh, I know what K means. I didn't know what paso means.
Oh, ¿qué pasó? I thought you were saying
¿Qué pasó?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the Haitian person was speaking Spanish to you. They were saying,
Yeah, I don't think that was Spanish. I think you make the Spanish and French Creole.
No, she was saying that because of like their little friend group. She got multiple friend groups. Okay,
Gotcha.
I'm just one from a different friend group. She be saying stuff from other people.
Nah, a lot of Haitians speak 3 languages. A lot of them
She does speak 3
Spanish
languages though.
in addition to
She
Creole.
speaks English, French, and Creole.
Yep, there you go.
That is a fact. That is a
and
fact.
some Japanese. Like she's been learning how to write Japanese, and she can speak it a little bit too. I just don't understand.
Impressed me because I struggle with my second. I'm trying to learn Spanish.
I don't understand the obsession with learning all these languages. Like, I mean, 2 or 3, okay. Once you go past that, you're just doing this for fun.
I mean, I think it's a highly usable tool. If you're talking about
you're a translator.
No, I mean, if you want to know what the world got going on, like, because even you can't even depend on a translator. Like, I remember we was in when we was in Cuba, and one of the African women was speaking, and she said a thing, and then the translator from our team said their translation, but they left out like genocide or like particular things, and those of us who spoke Spanish was like, oh, actually they said this thing, and that like those 2 or 3 words might be very cute. So I think sometimes even depending on translator ain't really beneficial. And then on other
politics into it.
Well, I don't know that I won't necessarily accuse them that. It's just like sometimes when you translate stuff, if you don't know the language or if you're kind of new to it, you would think it's not as important. But then obviously all of the languages are very similar anyway. So once you learn some of the 2 key ones, like the other ones will make more sense. So you can learn Spanish and then Portuguese will be a little bit easier. But
okay.
It makes sense to me based on the earlier convo we had real quick. What we talked about Burkina Faso, remember? And we had to use those AI generated. So I could see it for that. And then like Malcolm was talking about when he went to Africa and he needed like a translator everywhere. He felt like a kid. So it can really like make you feel limited in your ability to go around places. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know a few languages, but once you get past 3,
the 5, and I mean, however many you can, I'm impressed. But
yeah, I don't know if my brain can handle this. I said, "Oh, this is a lot."
I always think about the fact that they were doing this before television. Like Paul Robeson spoke 8 languages, but I mean, he also wasn't online. He had a lot of free time to do that, to study. I'm joking. I'm completely joking. Obviously, you can learn 8 languages in any era. I'm just pointing out that a lot of time, the hobbies and free time people from previous generations had, I think about that a lot, and what we eat that time up with now.
Yeah, my question was going to be, go ahead, Geechee.
No, I was about to welcome everybody to the Remix Morning Show. Peace, everybody. Amber is here, Geechee, and Lorik. And yeah, I'm glad to see everybody. Go ahead, Amber.
So glad y'all could show up. Oh, I was just going to ask who put this in here.
I saw that earlier this week too.
It says take me through there. It says take me through there.
Yeah, because that was what Amber requested at our 50K celebration.
Take me through that. Take me through that.
I thought that was funny. Your doctor's funny.
Because I was wondering how this got in here. I was like, where'd this come from?
Oh man, your doctor does the thumbnails and he has a good time. They had Locked Up it with Diddy earlier this week.
I
If
saw
you
that
saw
one.
that.
I saw that one.
Oh man.
I agree with Zinzi. Zinzi said, I come across people who only speak Spanish, so knowing how to speak it is useful to me. I learned a bit of Brazilian Portuguese, but I don't have anyone to speak it, so I lost it. That's how I feel about Spanish. I feel like because so many folks here speak Spanish also, I like to know it to be able to like at least understand them, even if I can't speak it back as fast. But because I didn't practice it as much, I lost a lot of like the language. I can understand people, but I don't speak it as well anymore. You really do have to practice it. But when I was in college, I took like advanced Spanish because I got a bachelor's of arts because I wanted to do like some art classes and other stuff. I didn't want to do sciences, and I had people to practice with. And then I moved to like DC for a little bit. Then I moved back to Memphis. And then I was like just substitute teaching, doing all kinds of random shit, like nothing that had to do with speaking Spanish. So I never had anybody to practice with, and just kind of just went away.
I had two questions. Yeah, that makes perfect sense because without the immersion, it becomes really hard to stay fresh and to even like learn new things. I feel so definitely. And I was gonna talk about Geechee, the Gullah Geechee language. Is that considered a dialect or is that a second language? Because I was even thinking about African American languages.
Vernacular English.
And
Yeah,
things like
so we grew up thinking that it was more of a dialect or accent, but as I got older, like recognizing it was a language. And actually I even in college, I took a voice and diction class and I in Kentucky. And I remember so a few of us from Charleston used to be invited to my class to be made fun of. And I remember my professor was like, I am going to change that in you. And so even today now, I like really intentionally tried to sound a particular way. But there's words and things that that doesn't necessarily be there's words that's not like us saying it in an accent, right? And so we always know those words, right? So like for instance, we like Kuda, we always know Kuda was a turtle, right? So it took me being older and then people like Son Michaud and other folks who now teaching in Harvard allow us to kind of like defend it as a language as opposed to accents and dialects. I still think there's an argument around it being creolized English. So I think that's still a struggle because to be honest, like if we don't come here, the more forefront of the two languages wouldn't happen. We would probably still be speaking what we spoke in Angola or even Sierra Leone. So I think that's still a struggle that I haven't rest on saying it is this or that, but I would definitely say it's a language because if if you think about it, like if Spanish and Portuguese are two separate languages, I think they're deriving from each other. It would make sense. Same thing with Latin or anything else. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think I would call it a language at this point.
No, that makes perfect sense. I'd actually be curious then where terms like Kuda come from, because that doesn't even sound like the English word. So I'm curious if it's an African word for the term. That's the kind of stuff.
Because when I hear Kuda, I do think turtle.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, but I'm trying to think. That would be the kind of stuff I ask, like, are there turtles in Angola or Sierra Leone, for example? To then see if there's a word for that sounds similar to Kuda, or maybe y'all can.
Let me talk to this nigga that I know from Sierra Leone and ask him real quick.
Yeah, because that's really interesting to me. The words that sound nothing like the original. I know some of even English words in the U.S. are loan words from Native Americans. I've heard a theory that okay might be a loan word that Andrew Jackson stole from some natives. I'm not sure about that history, so I'd have to look it up. But there are a lot of native loan words as well.
Yeah, I think I think colonialism allows you to forget that all of us are just grunting. We're saying grunts. And because we've heard English so much and it's been burned into our minds, it doesn't sound like a grunt anymore, but you're literally grunting or making a noise. And
it's good.
It's so interesting you say that because I don't know, you don't be on TikTok, but there's like this trend right now of people talking like cave women. And it's annoying as fuck.
I mean, but that's literally all you're doing. Like you're grunting and making sounds with your mouth based off of whatever, and then there's literally no way to say that it's anything other than a grunt. And you know that because you hear somebody else talking, you be like, "What the fuck?"
I have a really let's see. I have a related example, but I'm not sure what Derail is. Have y'all seen I Show Speed freestyle? On what was it? Let me see if I can find
Well,
it.
you talking about the comedian dude?
Yes. And he was
Well,
he did a lunch break freestyle.
No, I've been seeing the other dudes freestyle. I don't know the other dude name who he be hanging out. He used to hang out with Drake a lot, but he actually nice. He's the other comedian. I don't know his name, but I've been seeing
people
him.
in the chat.
Oh, for real? Okay, I was talking about that's so funny.
Okay, pull that up.
I was talking about this freestyle he did. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I see the link in here. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up. Because people in the chat are asking what I'm talking about. So basically, some white girl got on TikTok and was like, "Me cave woman, me like man that not like me, like just talking like a cave woman," and it's really fucking annoying. And I'm like, why has this caught on? Why have we lost subject verb agreement? And why are the sentences so long? Because you're saying so many, like you're saying like a few words at a time. So it's like the stories take so long, and I get tired of watching them, so I stopped watching.
But I don't even think that's cave women, because that's early African and other folks trying to speak the language that they are forced to speak. Because even again, cave language is definitely even more of a grunt. I mean, I don't think I could say that, but more of a grunt than what we. But they wasn't like me. There's that. That's them literally trying to learn the colonizers' language. So it seemed like they would even be making fun of African indigenous people trying to speak their oppressors' language.
I'm gonna say like girls do it. I'm gonna leave it to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say the caveman thing. If you're speaking of evolution,
they're just doing random shit.
Yeah, of course. I was gonna say though, like actually Neanderthals. One of the theories is that they had less ability to verbally communicate compared to Homo sapiens. So that is the other thing about cavemen, is the idea that they actually couldn't grunt in as variety of ways that we've learned to grunt. Because another thing, Geechee, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, you're right. They're more like trained grunts, because there's certain things based on your language that you can and can't say. Like we don't know how to click our tongues necessarily, like some languages do. Roll our R's, like some languages do, and then other languages struggle with, the grunts we're making. So I think that's really funny, but accurate way to look at it.
Amber, did you pull up the YouTube?
And I see you pull it up. You said, so I was gonna say, when you said Portuguese and Spanish, to me Portuguese sounds like Spanish with more U's. I'm joking. My brother speaks it, but it truly is a lot of ooh. Like anytime I hear Spanish that has lots of ooh sound, ooh and U's, like I'm like, oh, that's Portuguese. Yeah. No question. Brazil.
I also want to. I mean, and I think. You mentioned it. I think it probably has something to do with these Buckras lust for IED, that all a lot of Haitians actually speak a bunch of different languages, because like most of them I know, they all speak French Creoles, French, Spanish, a little bit of Portuguese, and so I wonder if there's something that's like documented or that could like speak to why that is the case. Now, again, I think in the US, a lot of these schools did have a couple foreign languages, and maybe Latin was the one that was prominent when we were coming up. And now, like I remember in my high school versus Wando and Mount Pleasant, like they had like 16 different foreign languages that they offer their students. And so, yeah, I wonder if there's a story behind that.
Yeah, one of the things that impressed me the most learning about like Africa is how in just one country, although the borders are new, you have like 400 languages. So that just blows my mind. I think Cameroon is similar, where it's like hundreds.
Since Amber never pulled it up, I'll just pull it up. Sorry.
The speed video, look, it's dumb.
I'm literally just waiting. No. Let's not do that. The video was pulled up. I'm waiting to click the share tab. Y'all were just talking about random shit.
That's how you segue us into what we was talking about.
You're correct.
Well, hell, I like to just let men talk. I find that when you just let men talk, you actually find out so much more information. So I just let them talk.
Oh boy,
Word. Oh, bad, Amber.
Ha. Hey, look, hey, baby bad. When I'm chopping this money, this mag. I've been giving you money, my tripping that ticket down. Niggas, we run for the flags like chippers. I'm a young nigga rather than niggas, I'm getting like diggers. You be punching my chest to rats, I'm giving this money, I'm getting a flicker. Like Dere, you sell me, and I know when I'm chipping this money. Like
Tell me
damn,
what he's saying,
you damn a baby girl, you can like be my bunny. Like fuck, I've been tripping the same thing and I'm tripping this money. Like fuck, I've been getting this money the same thing, the train is sunny. I'm giving like girl, you topping the switch. But I'm right stage car, no switch. I've been getting no domino lick. Baby girl, you bad, no switch. Baby girl, you bound that ass. Let me get to the money, no rest. You got to bounce that ass. Baby girl, you doing your ass. Let me say that shit now. Damn,
well,
too fast for freestyle, bro. Look, hey, when I rush something, hits a barilla. I been tripping the same thing, I've been tripping the same thing like a fella. I'm a young nigga tripping, nigga speed game, I've been busting the swallow. If these niggas wanna play, then I'm busting this shit like I do, like a duck, like down bad. I ain't had shit none but slacks. I ain't had no nothing but the damn thing, but a down low razz.
So we can stop there, but I think I want to.
Stop there.
I want to highlight.
How long does it take you to realize he's not saying words?
Well,
Like,
that's why I want to highlight what Zinzi just lifted, because Zinzi says how we know this is a freestyle for real. No, actually, I think this is a freestyle for real, and that's why it's not as coherent, because today a lot of the freestyles are technically freestyle. So I've seen, you know, how people write
free reading, but they don't know what the beat gonna be.
Yeah, and then they try to like ride the beat along with, but they like, it's just weird because it say if I write this down, like the battle rappers, they're sometimes freestyling, and sometimes people write their freestyles and they say this is a freestyle, and is technically meaning I didn't sit there and write and think through this, or I like write this off the cuff. But no, like most people cannot just sit there and just get it. Like not that I've seen, and I've seen some rappers who can do that, but I don't, especially today. Like,
I don't think John in the chat said he didn't appear to be reading yet. I don't think he was reading. I think that's why you can tell, like in the beginning, he started off really strong and then he ran out of stuff to say. So he started saying similar stuff, but also the stuff that he was saying don't really fit him. So you knew that he was like struggling, like talking about baby girl having a fat, like he don't even talk like that. Like he's not even that type of, so like it doesn't fit him. And he's like a child, like he's like a baby. So like half the stuff he was saying about like getting it and all this stuff, I was like, you're not doing any of that stuff. So that's how I knew he was freestyling for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. I also think he's a troll. Like that's what I find hilarious about this, when people say like you don't need the words, you just need the beat. You know, the flow is there. Like it sounds like a song. It sounds like he's parodying.
Can we watch a good freestyle now?
I'm trying to find the what's Drake's friend who's a social media comedian. The little dude who, no, that's not the other. Nah, not him. I don't know the dude name. I just keep seeing him. He got low cut.
YK Osiris, light skinned dude.
Well, I don't know them people name. It's like he's not a rapper, but he's a actually online comedian, and he's kind of, I guess he's kind of funny. It's not Casanet. He rapped. Him and Casanet was on a thing together where he was freestyling, and Casanet was like hyping him up and saying like he will never drop a song, but he's the coldest freestyler or whatever. But I don't know.
It'll come to me. Some says Ben the Don.
I found the one I was looking for, so I got it.
Ben the Don, is that the person?
Ben the Don, is that him? Yeah, I think that's his name.
Let's watch mine.
Yo, my brother just sent me this. That's so funny ever. All right, go ahead.
What?
Okay.
This Mono Leo freestyle.
Ben the Don, that's him.
Where's Ear Doctor?
I love the chat, bro.
We're going to church today.
Who is that?
You ready?
Mono Leo.
Oh, this is what Ben the Don was rapping on right there. That whatever that is.
On the radar radio. Yep.
Bitches be thinking they bigger than me, but who bigger than me when I'm bigger than big? Nigga, I'm bigger.
This sound like Amber. That's why you like it, because that's how your flow.
I can't hear it though, Amber. If you want to turn it up, we might get. I don't know if we get copyright flag for this.
Big Leo gonna do it again. Bigger than large. Young bitch getting more money. That mean the bigger the car, bigger the boob. I went big on the bra. That shit happened.
No, Amber. This ain't it. Nah, dog, that ain't it. That's the funniest thing Charlamagne ever said.
You forget what you saw. Bigger than you. Pussy, I'm bigger than you. Way more thicker than you. I'm slicker than you. Niggas know that I'm a star. I got a Michelin move. So I'm sticking in move. Get in the mix and get out. I got a Michelin dude. You missing your dude. I'ma send his ass.
King Los.
I'm finished with dude.
Yeah. Hey, Amber. Cut it.
I'm talking about bigger than
They ain't working. They ain't gonna be.
This
So
nigga pulling out a tambourine. I didn't even know it's a tambourine here first.
The pink tambourine.
Amber, that ain't it, bro. You're
You're a fucking hater. Both me
I'm
and
just
Lord
saying.
feeling that shit.
No, that y'all just like the church bop because both of y'all church turn. That why
I'm not a church kid.
you a church turn.
I do like a little church organ.
A helping
I
hand.
do
Oh,
like
so I
it.
ain't
Show
got-
up with the
Oh,
whole
we got to bend it down. All right,
darn.
we doing music.
You know, I ain't. Wait, is this Black Liquor?
Yeah, you ready? All right. Who is this guy though? I don't know who. I actually might not
On
know.
the Radar Radio.
He funny
Clear
actually.
of the
Hell.
closing doors, please.
How you?
Oh, that's yeah. He be with Drewski too.
Yeah, he nice.
Hey, I don't like to brag, but fuck it today, I'ma get on their ass. I've been having cash. I do not smoke Reggie, I ain't missing my dad at all, but fuck it, I'm on that. Them niggas been trolling, I know they don't want that. Pull up with your hoe at. He thinking I'm thirsty. Nah, shit, throwback, no cap, see how I'm living. I stay in the pen, top floor of my building. He know I don't feel him. Been biting my style for years, he stealing. They think I be dealing, cause how he got M's, he 30 and chillin'. We really no different. My niggas caught bodies, I went made a killing. I need some more leg room. I ain't cuffing these hoes, report to the bedroom. I run with the mafia. Don't play with the gang, you might end up dead soon. Enough with the dick ride. I don't hate on nobody, I really be big vibing. Can't answer the phone right now, look, brush you and me, he be thinking this bitch hiding. Niggas from my hood mad cause I'm still lit. Boy, you peep back in high school. Last nigga that tried me, I flew at his bitch. Made her blow me like hot food. I'm having that paid for real. With all that plague, and I told her I'm not dude. I tell her the truth.
Make her blow me like hot food.
Where he from? He sound like he's from the south.
Take me through
Yeah.
hell. We love the
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Where he
Keep her
from?
fresh head and some new hair. I can
Yeah.
live up in that cooch on God. I pack my shit and move there. Pulling up at 3 a.m. ain't but one thing we can do here. Come up
Do that.
forward. Told that bitch to come up off her. Pulling up at 3 a.m.
He's just
ain't but
predictable.
one thing we can do.
See, we can't enjoy this. This is funny as hell. So we enjoy this.
Okay.
You got another one?
Hey, them lights get bright, KC. Don't let them blind you. Nowadays, it ain't about talent catching. They'll sign you. Me and bro, we too locked in. Right or wrong, I'm behind you. We been thugging since a young and ain't no way I could slime you. I just left from Johnny Dang, spent 30,000 on diamonds. Groupie hoe be on my dick, that's when I turn to the Heisman. I be trying to look for love, but I don't think I'm gonna find it.
This could be written
I
up.
spend with her, sometimes I wish
Yeah, it's
to
written.
rewind it. I go by
Yeah.
Yo double in, I'm in the bit with the mafia. She wanna suck it while I stream. I told her baby what's stopping you.
Stop
We the
it.
ones who set the trends, you niggas doing what's
Very
popular.
predictable.
No, I said I want
Yeah.
it bad, but then I hit, now I'm off her.
Yeah,
Can't complain, I had to take that L and charge it to the game. All that shit I went through, swear to God, was worth the pain. Clutching
Man.
I guess it's Freestyle Friday, Black Bookie. You're right. All right. I seen. I got the gist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he sounds like he's from Atlanta. He sounds like he's next to y'all. Actually,
He sound like he from Memphis or Houston.
He's definitely like he's from Memphis or Atlanta.
Memphis. Okay. Or he sound like Pooh Shiesty.
I don't know.
Who
I
just
feel
got
like
free,
nigga,
by the
I'm
way.
bigger than big.
Pooh Shiesty free, yo.
Pooh.
Just
Shiesty.
Yeah, Pooh
That might
Shiesty
get
out of
some-
jail. Did not take his ass to Memphis. I said, I know that's right, friend. Stay in them other people's states that ain't got the National Guard. Cause I wouldn't bring your ass
Oof.
here.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to
I would
the
love it.
Friday Remix Morning Show. We have people who had to take a break. Join us again. Maggie says Drake's about to lock him in the OVO sweatshop. That is hilarious. Oh man. Okay. Did we want to get started on the run sheet? I had that fun warm-up thing on being a critical thinker. Amber, if you could show us that one. I thought it was funny. I'm curious
Where
what
is it
y'all
at?
think. I'm gonna drop it in the
Okay.
private chat.
A Rob said Amber got the fro like free. She got the locks. Thankfully, not like AJ.
Oh, what a six.
Hey, when I was
You
at
showed your age.
CBC, I saw AJ at a party like randomly. He just walking around. I said, "Nigga, that's AJ. Like AJ and free. He's tall. I mean, I know that he was tall, but he's like really tall.
After I did free.
And Laura got the braids like Bow Wow, so I think we all.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It was Bow Wow. It was Bow Wow, and what was that sister's name? It was Bow Wow.
Roxy.
It was Karen J and
Roxy.
Thank you. Yeah. I remember that.
But real talk though, AJ fine as fuck. I said, damn, you not aging, nigga. Like
My proximity to entertainment by being in radio, Roxy, is one person. Roxy Drink. Oh, I'm not. But she's like she came through. So I grew. We went to we work with Terrence, not Terrence Howard, Terrence J and 103 Jams in Greensboro. But one time Roxy came, and this is when people was drinking, but she small and she drank everybody, including the men under the table, because she claims that she been drinking since she was young. You know how some families drink, and I'm talking about like folks was like done, and Roxy was just like throwing it
That's
back.
crazy. She's
like,
super small too.
I know. I was like, oh, no, I don't know what's going on over there. But yeah, those are.
Oh, that's how you survive the work of social. Okay, yeah, Amber, I had the thing. So talking about just the kind of fun shit we like to do to explain critical thinking, because that's our first value with Black Men Build. It doesn't always have to be super strict PE or formalized classroom settings. Obviously, learning takes place everywhere, and I like things that we all can think through together. So I saw this video, was sharing it around, thought it was really funny, because I see the solution here, but I do, or no solution here, but I do think some people struggle. So if you could pull up the video, Amber,
take us through that. Get off that phone.
We talking to our homie from Sierra Leone on the turtle.
Yeah, she
turtle
did
origin.
Man. We're gonna have to have a phone pocket lot for Amber.
I'll put mine away. Right.
Take me through that. There we go.
My nerves.
All right, y'all, tell me if what y'all think about this challenge.
Wait, you can't pull the screen up.
So you have to hold the towel.
Hey, you got to start over because I ain't see how it start. Because I think I can do it.
Critical thinking, guys. It's gonna take a second, just like the speed freestyle. How long before you realize he's not saying shit? So this is a good example of trying to solve a problem.
Amber, you starting over?
I am starting over.
Because all you had to do is hit the link and hit the link one time. It'll start over by itself.
Let's get it. Okay. So they have to hold these two towels like this and try and get untangled without letting go.
So one of them go through. Hold on. If they just stop for a second, I could probably see. Nah, there's no way to get through there.
Amber, what do you think? Let's hear the chat as well. Chat, what do you think about this? Is this a problem that can be solved?
You can't take me through there on that one.
Amber's thinking still. You can't let your hands go. Snatching, that's the rule of the game. So you have to not let your hands go.
I don't think that they can do it.
I'm glad you say that. So there are a lot of comments that are taking this as like a symbolic of relationships. And so there's a lot of what I call idealism in the comments where people are like, they just had to try harder. They were almost there. They didn't do it. If they're, they're showing the relationship strength.
It's two complete circles though.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, chat. And thank you, Geechee and Amber. This was the end of the critical thinking exercise. It is impossible. It's impossible to solve it. It's two rings. It's two closed circles. Like so I have people struggling with this one, which I love. Again,
you can break like infinity.
Thank you. Can you take two rings and break them? It's impossible. So when I was showing people with my hands, it was funny. But again, how people think through things. Some people got it with the hand example, but other people need to try it out physically and test it out. But I think the most interesting people are the idealists who refuse to believe there's no solution and that you just weren't trying or they're going to figure out. So those tend to be the people who I think take the longest. I think materialists tend to be real quick on like, wait, this is physically impossible. I can't solve this. So I just wanted to start us there with that.
And impossible with the method that you're using. So if you're not trying to break the circle,
Correct.
So
Mhm.
some things has to be
Trying to keep it
broken
together.
or destroyed. Yeah. But once, so basically, if something is built, if a problem is built on a false premise, meaning the rules and the policies, it will not allow you to do it if you're continuing on that policy. But when you change the policy or change the dynamics, then you can solve it. So yeah.
Welcome to Accessible PE. Thank you, Geechee. That was fantastic. That's why I want that video. So yeah,
But what
I think
were you then telling people though, like from watching that video though?
that was what Geechee said essentially. Like it's a false premise. Like if you go by the rules other people set up and assume they are true, a lot of times you'll hit a dead end. So I think that happens a lot with our organizing work as radicals, as people who are going against a system that lays out rules and says you can't do that. A lot of times, like you have to figure out which of those rules are things you can't violate and which ones you can. So I think that's one way. But a lot of people have all sorts of lessons they can take away from it. I think there's discussions about relationships. Again, someone was talking about how they seemed like they were in good spirits when they ran into the problem together. Like they didn't seem like they were arguing or mad at each other. So I think that's a way to look at it, the personal dynamics when you run into a problem. Like, are you blaming each other? Are you calling the other person stupid? That kind of thing. Or can you work through it together? So those are the takeaways
that look like? That look like the ball signal. And that's Jared's argument that this is why you can't. No, but I'm saying it's like the circulate. It's two circles. You cannot circulate the dollar. And it's not gonna get us the way we're not gonna get out of this situation by circulating the dollar. So
break the circle.
It's not gonna happen. You gotta try something else.
Yeah.
No, that's a good.
That was it. I had just a fun start, Amber. I know we wanted to get into some more serious stuff. For the past few weeks, we've been talking about Memphis, the National Guard, policing, abolition, things like that. And there was an interesting story out of Chicago this week. I know the remix covered it briefly earlier.
I mean, we don't have to be super serious just yet because I do think that there is a really important phenomenon that's happening right now, which is that every time some shit happens in movement spaces, like there's some big like thing happening, some kind of rapid response, I lose all my hoes. And I'm determined for that not to happen this time.
Wait, you said hopes?
Hoes,
I wish.
my roster, it dies.
Oh, you calling black folks hoes? Okay.
Anyways, so I'm determined for that to not happen this time. And I'm trying to figure out.
Hey, you saw how, this is why you don't have two pilots in the planes, right? So the plane took off and it was going like this. And we was like, take me through there to the cloud. And Amber said, and now we nose diving back into the.
We just looped it. We just hit the loop. That extra loop they take when they can't land yet. We just did that. Man. All right, we slapping the map. Let's get back to it.
Let me.
This is a very serious issue, Geechee. I don't appreciate you.
I know, Amber. We'll
I think it is serious. I think it is serious, but this is also serious. Now we back. Now on this side of the
we're not back. Anyways, finishing my story.
No.
That was on the other side of the map. That's on the other side.
I'm trying to balance my time better, you guys.
Okay.
But I'm not that good at it. But that's not what matters. What matters is that I still got them for now.
You still got who? What?
When y'all were yelling at me, my hoes. When y'all were yelling at me earlier, I was trying to pull up this video. That's why I was looking down.
Since you don't want to go to the serious news, you have to still. I am
going to the serious news.
No. We gotta use some of Loric's methodology. When you say hoes, can you define hoes for us so we clear on who and what you're talking about?
I'm just talking about people that I'm dating, but I was literally pulling up the video about the National Guard thing, but you keep interrupting me because you think I'm not being serious, and I don't like it.
I'm sorry, Amber.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Thank you,
nigga.
Go ahead, Amber. Okay, what we got here?
Okay, this is this morning.
Oh, just what kids want to see on the way to school.
I don't know if you can see the tank thing.
I can see a little bit of it in the background.
Yeah,
But I guess
he was trying to zoom. He was trying to zoom in, but like we can't go past this little, little fake barrier. But that was this morning, and there's been like this concentrated like saturations in like these very particular areas every day, and that was one of the areas this morning. Usually like around like 7:15 ish is when we start seeing them like setting up different things. But today is supposed to be the first day that the National Guard is actually here. I'll just say it's taking them a long time to get here. They've been talking about this National Guard shit for like a month and a half, 2 months at this point. These motherfuckers still ain't here. Until I see somebody in uniform, I'm not gonna believe it because I have yet to see people actually here. A-Rob, please
who us?
energy drink
This morning. We had good energy this morning.
No, they're talking about Amber's quote. Amber's quote. Cool. You need to publicize that trademark.
Yeah, she's talking about that when I was like, I was filming the police and I was like, they out here hopped up on energy drinks.
Oh,
it wasn't. Thank you, Stono. It was an iconic quote. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So this was in Memphis.
That's in Memphis this morning.
What's
So
the barricade? Can you explain that? Like, what do you mean?
yeah, they boxed off that street. So the street that they were on is Jackson Avenue, which is like a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood, and going into North Memphis, which is a predominantly Black neighborhood. And they've been doing these like super early morning operations, and then they'll take a break, like a lunch break from 12 to 2. And then they'll go back out and do more like traffic stops and stuff. They'll take another break from like 5 to 7 for dinner, we're assuming. And then they'll do like some more like late night stuff, but then it kind of stops past like 12. But I specifically think it's important that people like can see the patterns of what they're doing because they're in the same places. They're not going past the same like 2 or 3 streets. So I've been posting these updates every morning with like the different stops. So we have a rapid response hotline that people can call in. So we've been calling in like the different stops, or they'll text them. And then we have a Free the 901 Instagram page and Facebook page. And people have been like sending like sightings there. And then we geotag the locations on Google Maps. And the map thing, I'll try to pull it up for y'all. But basically like all the pings are in the same exact place. And they're all along the interstate. They're all in the very same places. So it's very obvious what they're doing. And I think that because they just think that we're fucking dumb, they're like, maybe we don't know how to use technology and we aren't doing stuff like they're doing, but we're doing the same shit they're doing. And it ain't no different for real. Okay, I got the map thing. I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah. And that reminds me of a story about Apple recently, where they removed this app that helped you track ice. So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So this is like, Gramwood is like a Black Hispanic neighborhood. So notice like all the stops are along the interstate right here. And all along the interstate right here. They don't creep too much into the neighborhoods except for on very popular streets. Like this street right here is very popular, and this street right here by Well Station is very popular. And then this is like going into North Memphis-ish. I was just trying to show the area where there aren't any stops really, like in the Spring Hill neighborhood, which is mostly a white neighborhood. And then Scenic Hills, doesn't that just sound like a more white affluent area?
Yes.
Or like Lakewood Hills, like those areas aren't really seeing much stops. And then you get back to like Memphis proper, right by the airport, this is near where I live. Not here, near here. But you see all the stops along the interstate, all the stops along this main street. This is Winchester, which is like the road that pretty much connects Memphis from top to bottom, just like Poplar and Madison Avenue, like those main streets. So they're going all the way down Poplar and just stopping people along that street. And then this is another white neighborhood. And notice there's no stops over there. Like once you get to where
at the Home Depot where people work. That's so funny.
Yeah. So like this is Winchester still. So like right here where you're seeing this street.
You talking about the day workers
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
That's
is
why I saw
Winchester
people getting
Hill.
rounded up in
This is
Miami
where,
with Home Depot and
yeah,
Walmart. All right, go ahead.
that's where the Chick-fil-A and the Costco are. And this is when you get into like the white neighborhoods right here. So like Burlington, Richwood, Windike, those are all like more affluent Black neighborhoods. So not a ton of white people actually, like some white people, yes, but not a ton of them, but more affluent Black people that you would consider like middle or higher class that like, you know, you don't think will be like committing crimes basically. And then I think that's it. No, yeah, okay. So then Williamsburg Colony is Hickory Hill. So like I grew up in Hickory Hill, that's where I'm from. And this street, Knight Road, this is Winchester right here. So where you see all these at the bottom, this all Winchester. And then you'll also notice they're either on the main streets or right by the interstates because the people who are pulling people over are state troopers. So state troopers have ICE agents and FBI agents in their state trooper vehicles because the police department would not allow them to ride in their cars, in the Memphis Police Department cars. So then they're riding behind the state troopers in like 3 or 4 unmarked cars. And the second day they were here, I put up to like a gas station because I saw a whole bunch of like federal agents standing outside, and they were from the Department of State talking to like a group of Black women. It was like 8 of them talking to this group of Black women. And I was like, why would the Department of State be here? That's weird. There's over 700 federal agents here right now. And mind you, like I said before, the National Guard is still not here. They sent like a planning command team that's been here for a little bit, but the actual National Guard has not like fully deployed. So they're saying it's going to be today. So hopefully we'll see something, but I don't know because they've been saying they're going to be here for I don't know how long. And yeah. I saw James, I saw your comment. He said, yeah, Amber, I saw you out there with Elizabeth. I've been following her. Y'all been at it lately. We really have. And one thing I always said to my nigga Elizabeth, she gonna take a flight and come down and cover some shit. Because one thing that's been pissing me the fuck off is that everybody's talking about what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and like that's getting a lot of attention, which it should be. But because so many things are happening at once, like Memphis is really like we were there in the beginning, and now it's like no one's really talking about it. And we're really experiencing the worst of it, like Chicago. Like people are getting pulled over left and right. Our jail is packed right now. Our intake room can only hold 60 people. There's over 400 people in that intake room right now. Like the jail system is about to fucking collapse. They're taking people to like Arkansas and Mississippi jails because they want to like pack our jail and say we have to take them to these other jails because this jail is so full, which is insane. And then if you're like if you have a felony, like if the federal government, federal agents arrest you on a felony warrant, they're taking you to Mason, Tennessee, which isn't even here. It's like an hour away, or they're taking you to Louisiana, like you're going to an ICE detention center.
Yeah. So I'm curious with this advent of Trumpisms and other the U.S. White project. European White Project. So is there communication between cities? So like we know Chicago have their response. Well, a neighborhood in Chicago had their response to ICE and FBI and other folks. Like are these different groups in conversation? And I know maybe the question could possibly be no in terms of like having a larger organized fight against it. But yeah, I'm curious like what you think about like solidarity and connection with other groups who are fighting. And then, yeah, what is both of y'all's like analysis of like where we're at right now, what's going on, what needs to happen, and because I kind of want to be broad with that question, but I'm curious like how our conversations going with different cities and how ICE are moving, specifically being in places like I know Miami where there's a bunch of folks, but I think I probably jokingly say I don't know if this is condescending, but like Miami is the place where all of the revolutionary people from revolutionary countries who side with the U.S. move to. So like Venezuelans, Cuba, Nicaragua, correct. Like when they lose, they come to Miami. But yeah, I'm curious how y'all feel about that.
Bolsonaro was in Publix after he lost in Brazil. He was fighting Publix, going to an MMA fight.
Yeah, but we're all talking to each other. So
yeah, so is Memphis a blue city?
Answer a very long-winded question.
Amber, that was my question. Memphis is blue, right?
He was asking if Chicago, Memphis, and Portland are all talking to each other.
Yeah. I was just asking you
had
another
3
question.
questions in that one question.
That's true. We do that on BLM. But I was asking you if Memphis is a blue city, because I think that's one of the things they have in common, right? Is that Trump is trying to punish Democratic mayors and things like that.
Yeah, Memphis is a predominantly Democratic city. I do
Right.
think the makeup is very different, like Chicago compared to Memphis. But yeah, we are all talking to each other. We were on a live yesterday. I was on a live with Farah, who's one of the lawyers and people doing some work there in Chicago, with this girl Megan, and we both know who's an organizer from Texas. And we did a live stream talking about like updates and stuff, what's happening here, what's happening there, what the infrastructure looks like, talking about like how to set up rapid response infrastructure very quickly where you are, if you do become an occupied state, stuff like that.
And are y'all still sharing? Because I know y'all had a network in Memphis that was pretty solid. And I don't think everybody's got that same level.
I mean, I don't think they need that. They're pretty well equipped. I mean, if they ask me about something, we definitely can get it to them, but they're pretty well equipped. I also think the tactics are very different here versus in Chicago. It's not the same at all. What's happening in Chicago, I would say, is more violent, but not violent physically, not violent in general. Like what's happening here is very violent too, but we're not being like pepper sprayed and shit. But families are being separated like every day. People are going to jail. People are losing their jobs. Like that kind of violence is still happening. It's just not as much physical. We've only seen like 2 or 3 instances of like police assaulting someone. For the most part, they've just been arresting and deporting a lot of people and giving out a lot of tickets.
That reminds me of the Kwame Ture thing, though, about if you resist, then they stiffen their resistance. So I know you talked about your struggles with the Memphis mayor, and I'm curious how you think him showing up differently is affecting that versus how Johnson is showing up. Maybe that's the cause of the violence is what I'm thinking about, because Johnson's resisting, and you said your mayor was not resisting just yet as much as you like.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think that's why our mayor has like taken the stances and the tactics that he has, because we don't want what's happening in Chicago to happen in Memphis, and we don't have the same level of power. Like I think that people are considering like, oh, I kept seeing people like yesterday on the live, like, oh yeah, Memphis needs to fight and Memphis needs to do this. I was like, Memphis is organizing, but like what I think we should be putting energy into is not fighting. We should be putting energy into keeping people safe. How do we set up alert systems so folks know where the police are? How do we help people get rides? We have a whole like transportation shuttle system that we set up to take people's kids to school or take them to work or give them rides to the store because they're literally afraid to go grocery shopping. We have an immigrant pantry that's doing drop-offs of groceries and like picking up stuff for people. Like we're focused more on those kind of things because those are the things that we can actually help with. It doesn't do us any good to try to buck back against these people that got 700 federal agents on us. Like it just doesn't. Like,
so what would you like to see from the mayor then? Like how could the mayor support? Because I definitely hear that concern.
Ain't shit that nigga can do.
Okay.
Literally, we don't have a Democrat governor. We have a governor who is lockstep with Trump, who's gonna do whatever Trump tells him to do. He is not supportive. Anytime we as a city have pushed back on anything at the state level, they take our state funding away. They took our state funding from our hospitals last year. Like nothing that we're doing that we can do like to push back against them is gonna actually help us. So I don't expect him to do much. I expect organizing groups and organizers to do a lot of the legwork, to push a lot of people on different things, to publicize a lot of stuff. I don't expect much from him because he's not going to push back in the same way because he doesn't want what's happening in Chicago to happen here. Like I was talking to the city attorney yesterday. Every time the mayor in Chicago put out an executive order, them niggas do an operation. After that last executive order, they went and raided that apartment complex of Black people. We don't want that to happen here.
Can we pull up the executive order so folks in the audience know what we're referring to, who might have missed it this week?
The first one I'm thinking about is the one where the Chicago mayor said that people couldn't wear face masks and had to show their badges. And then that's when they sent more ICE agents. And we already have a lot of federal agents here. I just think that you have to be smart in like your approach.
So
and I know people want someone to speak out. And when you have a lot of power like he does in Illinois, you can speak out a little bit more. But I mean, it ain't shit our mayor can do. He keeps telling us he's telling the federal agents, guys, the person who's over them, like, they are not going to be executing ICE warrants. He's telling them they're not going to be doing this, and then they go do it anyways. So they don't care.
So Amber, I'm curious. So as a policy organizer, and it sounds like you're saying, and I don't know if it's the specific programs like the 287 program or the secured communities. These federal programs is something that the state of Tennessee is implementing, and as a policy organizer and any connection to the mayor, you're saying your crew and your people and the mayor are against those federal things, but they don't have any power or organization to kind of like stop those people at that moment. Because I'm asking that because I'm trying to figure out if there's like policies that you and or your organizations feel like this is the policy we want. We don't want this policy. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that there's a difference in city government and federal government. And so like even with the executive orders like the ones that were written in Chicago, I even asked him to like write executive orders like that, and they wrote them up. But legally, our charter says that executive orders only govern the city administration, not federal governments. So even if he had passed those executive orders, it would have just irritated them and like made the situation more agitated, but it wouldn't have changed anything. They would have kept doing the same things they're doing because they don't apply to them, which is the purposeful reason of why he's sending the National Guard and federal agents into cities, because they don't have to listen to what like our local laws are saying. Those executive orders only would apply to the city administration, so city employees, meaning city police, not federal agents.
So if the city was organized in a way and the mayor had particular power, you could possibly see forces, including the police, city police, fighting against the federal people to protect or change their city. Like, is that? I mean, I know again the police won't side with the people, but
I think there's already tension there around that. Like the Memphis police already have been pushing back, and then like they wouldn't let the federal agents ride in their cars. They told them they had to take like some training. They didn't want to do that, so they said they wouldn't ride in their cars. They would not like cooperate with them to do ICE warrants. They would only let federal agents ride behind them to execute like homicide warrants. But that's not what they've been doing. They still been trying to do ICE warrants. And so I was like, it doesn't feel like even the power of where y'all trying to dictate things that they do, that they're following that, because me and other organizers have been texting the mayor, like the tips that we're getting, like, hey, we're seeing MPD cars pull someone over right now for ICE attention, and we're sending him pictures and sending him videos. And then he said, well, I'm going to talk to the person, but they're not listening to him. So at one point, you also have to realize what true power you have. The only power they really have is saying you can't ride in our police cars and we won't coordinate with you. That's pretty much it.
So fascism is already here. So,
yeah.
Fascism is definitely here. But also, like, I mean, I think this is where like Republicans are smart and that they understand how to use things. The federal government has some power in certain ways, and he's executing that kind of power they have. And he knows that like the things that are happening in Chicago are mostly symbolic. Like, most of the stuff that they're passing executive orders for only work in certain ways, like for city buildings and stuff like that. But like they can't prevent them from being in other places. And our mayor, I know he's just not going to do that. But I also think it's important that like we're looking at other avenues beyond like actually passing an executive order, because I'd like to think in multi-steps. And so once I realized the executive order thing wasn't going to work, we started looking at other stuff. So they're going to announce a lawsuit probably in like a few hours. There's at least 2 groups that are suing about sending the National Guard here, because the Tennessee Constitution does not allow for the National Guard to be sent in under this type of deployment without a natural disaster or without some kind of riot or uprising happening. And because none of that is happening here, it's not like legal for them to send them. And so I know there's going to be at least 2 lawsuits that pop out today that are gonna either ask for, one of them is asking for an injunction, but both of them are pushing back against the National Guard deployment in general. So I'm excited for them because I feel like that's the real leverage we have right now. Like I know we've seen what happened in Chicago when they won their lawsuit. I think that they're looking at what's working in other places that can be actually copied here, because we do have a different like government makeup. And so also we don't know if it'll go through the court system the way we need it to, but we're still gonna try that because that's a more probable option than the executive order stuff.
So I had some quick points. I still want us to now that you've laid that context, pull up the Chicago article so we can see like what the order was, because I think so much of what you said is parallel in Chicago as you were laying out. The other thing, as you're pointing out, is just how Republicans wield power, very intelligent, and rewarding friends and punishing enemies. And so it's funny you mentioned that. I know, Geisha, you mentioned earlier in Miami, and one of the differences is the city of Miami's Republican mayor. So we do have a blue mayor running the county, but at the city level, it's Republican. At the state level, all the legislature, all three branches are captured by the Republican Party. And so Trump does not want to send the wrong message by putting the National Guard on Republican-run cities and things like that. So that's something we want to just keep in mind. The point is to punish the Democrats, punish Black mayoral leadership, that kind of thing. And so even though the repression, the ICE, the 287 program is all in Miami, he's not going to do the same thing because he's not going after Suarez the same way he would Johnson. That was my first thing. The second thing, I still hear you, Amber. I'm thinking about the fight, though, even if it is symbolic. Like, what does it mean for the people to understand that their mayor is trying to heighten the contradictions, like actually doing what is possible in his power to resist, knowing that the police aren't going to side with the people, as Geechee said, because that then makes everyone aware. Because I think what we struggle with as organizers is consciousness. But like, if everybody is aware that you elected this mayor to do this thing, right? And that's what I think we're going to get into Mamdani later. Some of his skills. So if you elect this mayor to fight for the people and like they aren't doing that, then it then feels empty. So at the very least, I feel like Mayor Johnson is showing people, here's what's going to happen when you push. And now we have this crisis with him and Commissioner Snelling, with the police not doing the thing. But I do think it shows what you said, though, which is that it's illegal, right? So the first thing I learned about policy when I was studying Geechee was that it's implementation that matters more than the policy. So do you have the power to actually make this shit? Do you have the power to get the money out there? Are people going to do what you say when you say it? And Amber, you're pointing out, like, no, the police don't answer to the mayor, which is something that blows people's mind in fascism. But the police answer to authority, to power, to the Fed, to themselves.
Not only do they not answer to the mayor, but you also have to look at like what could the possible escalation on the other side be, or the blowback be, like especially when you're considering like, okay, we have Chicago that has this Democrat mayor, this Democrat governor, so some of the blowback the governor can like push back against. Tennessee, Governor Lee isn't going to do shit for us, so he's not going to come out with any statement saying this is wrong. He's not going to try to send any resources to help. He's going to let them fuck up our city. So you have to also balance those things out. And I think that that's the thing that people are having problems with, because when they're looking at governments and they think of city governments, it's like, well, oh no, they're Democrat too. But this is all coming from the state and the federal level. The will of using federal like agents and state troopers and stuff, that's coming from the state level and the federal government, which we don't have control over. We don't have any power in. So you also have to think about that when you're escalating. Am I escalating something that I can also protect people from? Because I don't feel like that's what's happening in Chicago right now. I feel like actually they're getting a brunt of what happens when you push back on somebody and they have more power in the situation. Even with the governor being there pushing back, they're still terrorizing the fuck out of citizens there. And they're already terrorizing us here. Why would I want more of that? Like, you got to be able to balance out. Do I really want to push back, or do I want to like figure out ways to help people? They don't want to figure out ways to alleviate some of the harm that's happening here.
I hear that. I'm sorry, Geechee.
No, go ahead.
I hear that. At the same time, as revolutionaries, right? Like, we have to understand what is still happening. Like, your jails are already full. People are still already being. So when I hear about like we're trying to can we protect people? I hear it from an organizer perspective, like on the ground, what programs, things you have set up to help people. But at the end of the day, like if you ask the Palestinians, what should, you can't do this thing unless you're ready to protect people. What does that mean, for them? Like, what does their protection look like? Sometimes the protection looks like heightening the contradictions and making it plain, like what kind of fight we're in. But I hear you.
You don't have people that are coming out in the streets like in Chicago. People are afraid. They are not leaving. When I say people are not leaving their houses here, I mean niggas. The restaurants is empty. The grocery stores are empty. People are not going to work. Like, it is very bad. We don't have people who are going to fight back in the same way. They're actually going to stay at home because they're trying to make sure they don't get fucking deported. Because they're deporting West Africans too. They pulled up to an apartment complex last week and deported 28 West African people that were living in this apartment complex in Hickory Hill. Like, it doesn't matter that you're Hispanic or black, both of them, they got to go. Like, they're heightening that, and it's just becoming more and more of a like volatile situation. So I think I'm also trying to think of that too, like, and thinking of the fact that I just talked to y'all about a few weeks ago about the jail situation here, about how they were trying to build a jail in a black neighborhood, and we got that quelled, and so they're not building it anymore. But if Trump is looking at the long picture, like I'm looking at the long picture, if you're able to pack up a jail to overcrowd it long enough, then you can pressure them to then build that jail. So what can we do to be bailing people out of jail, making sure they go to court and make sure they don't get arrested, so that they don't have an excuse to try to push for them building the jail like they tried to do originally? Just 6 months ago, they was trying to push like a special resolution through quick to try to get that jail built, and we stopped that. So you also got to think of all those things happening at the same time, because that's not happening in Chicago right now.
All right, Geechee.
No, I think I'm thinking about the a merge between what you just said, Lord, and then what Amber is saying in terms of like all these things are happening, and our methods that we're using to respond to it, or i.e. protect people, is like, thinking all the languages of organizing, building coalitions, protests and rallies, political education, speaking out at forums, and the vague or broad support affected communities. And I don't think we're coming to terms with it. Like none of that so far, or the methods that we're using, has any really capacity to protect people and or have a large amount of people changing their relationship to risk. Like I don't think that's there. So it's almost like that. I don't know. There's almost a question of like how, when we talk about like being serious, or how prepared, or what type of capacity we have to like respond to these conditions. If as Amber says, most people are afraid or whatever, like in different states, in different spaces, even in different organizations, it's just kind of like we're doing those things that I just listed as if like it could stop the other things, right? And I'm just curious how people are like grappling with that reality of like not really having the muscle or capacity to even respond to these things.
Yeah.
In a way that save people or protect people, whatever. I know like in small places, like that situation in Chicago, like that's a thing. But these are like small scale things that the question is always, how do you expand this or scale this up? So yeah.
Yeah. But I do hear, yes, like I completely agree. And I hear Amber's point, like that's the dialectics of it, right? That we're always balancing those things. Because again, like if people are not conscious and then they just get hit with the repression, then a lot of blame, like we know how this goes. Colonized, we blame ourselves, right? So this becomes a thing where I agree with you. I feel like if we are conscious and aware, then we need to recognize we have to change our relationship to risk. I really like how you put that. But to Amber's point, I do think we have to balance which strategies we can put our limited resources into. I'll put it that way. Because there's only so many people we have right now, only so many forces and all those things. So I agree with you. We clearly see that this isn't enough. So a lot of it might be figuring out which thing is the one that has the most leeway and then building more capacity there. And that's why I think y'all talking between cities to Portland and Chicago and all of that is so important. So we can see, even though, like you said, every local condition is different, which thing is actually able to apply some pressure and relieve some things. I definitely hear you when you talked about using the jails being full as an excuse to then do more repression. I think Republicans are very, very good at doing that, of creating one crisis and then using it to amplify another crisis. So with Alligator Alcatraz, they were using FEMA money, which then sets them up down the line because they're trying to gentrify South Florida, remove all the Black people, all that kind of thing. Well, now when a hurricane comes, they can turn Miami into Katrina again, right, in New Orleans. So I do hear you on that long view that I'm looking at. I'm like, okay, this is one fight. We can definitely shut this down. But the Republicans have a plan for once this gets addressed, how is it going to transition into this next repressive thing?
Yeah, I do think that that analysis is important, because I also think that when you consider like a Memphis, where they're on record saying that they're willing to fund the National Guard being here up until September 30th, 2026. And then you have a Chicago that's continuing to push back, but they're just flooding them with more and more ICE agents. The tactics are going to be different for sure. And just because I'm willing to take risks, because I'm with the shit, I'm always willing to take a risk, but they not willing to take risks here. And you also have to follow the flow of the people, right? The people are saying, we're not trying to be out in the streets. Now, we do have a whole campaign. The Free the 901 campaign has a whole like host of committees who are working on outreach, canvases. We've been doing phone banking. We've been doing like mutual aid support, making sure that unhoused like community members are housed. So we've been housing like hundreds of unhoused folks for several weeks now to prevent them from being swept up, because the National Guard was rumored to be sweeping up unhoused people. So like we've been doing all of that mutual aid work. And then there's still people who are doing actions. We have a whole group that's been planning protests and direct actions who have been doing them. They had protests just last week. There was one last week and the week before that. But still, people are not showing up to them. Maybe had like 100, 200 people at them. People are staying at home because most people in Memphis don't have valid licenses. They don't have insurance. The majority of them don't have insurance, which is an automatic judgment here in Tennessee, because we have a Tennessee state law about insurance, which we didn't used to have. But now that we have a Tennessee state law about insurance, you can't even get that kind of ticket thrown out. Like you have to go to traffic court and they'll give you more time to get insurance, but you're going to keep owing money consistently. That never goes away. So people are not going places. We don't have good transportation here. We're not like Chicago. We don't have a good public transit system. Our transit system sucks. Like it's horrible. So even with our city council voting to make the buses free for a period of time, people still aren't taking them because it takes them 3-4 hours to get a place that will take them 20 minutes normally. So like the landscapes are completely different in both places. And I do think that all tactics are important, which is why they've done protests. They've been doing direct actions, but also we've been mostly organizing to keep people safe, because people need information more than anything. The misinformation that was happening here was so dangerous. People were freaking out every fucking day because they're like, they're saying they're sending 3,000 troops here, and no one has said that. But people aren't getting accurate info. So being able to, one, quell the misinformation, give people resources, provide them with a rapid response hotline to call if they need help or they need to find someone. We have a team of people who only search for people. That's just a search team, because like someone mentioned in the chat, they're completely disappearing people. Like somebody's West African dad this week got picked up and they couldn't find him, and we found him in Louisiana yesterday. Like those things are, to me, are more important. And although we're still pushing back, we sent a letter to the mayor yesterday with demands. We're still pushing back. We're delivering a letter today to him in person. I organized for a certified mail person to go by, and we're going to show up in person too. Like we're doing all of those things, but most importantly, we're working to keep people safe in a way that is more realistic for us, because we don't have the same landscape that Chicago does, or Portland for that matter, because Portland is totally different.
Yeah. So then I think we do have some sort of conclusion to the points Geechee raised, which is how are we using this crisis, this moment, to bring more people in, right? Like that, I guess, becomes the first question, because clearly we all agree we have a capacity issue. So how are we recruiting people? And then, like you're saying, which strategies are transforming people's relationship to risk is what I feel. About the combat and the misinformation, I already, Amber, okay, I am going to ask, can we pull up the article now? And then while that's happening, I do see something in the comments that I want to address. You see in the chat, I can't highlight, but keep in mind there are more Latinos in Chicago than African Americans, and most of that is Mexican. Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me. I've got family from Chicago. My brother lives in Chicago. So just quick demographic breakdown. White non-Hispanics in Chicago are 33%. Black people are 28 to 29%. And Hispanic Latino, a category, again, we can disaggregate, because some of that is Black, some of that is white, some of that is brown, mestizo, is 28% to 10%. So it depends on how you measure it. So either the same size as the Black population or smaller, which makes a lot more sense historically if you know the history of Chicago. So I know you're talking about misinformation and things. Like, we have to be clear about our numbers and the conditions on the ground in our communities. So
and I also think because there's a lot of organizing for immigrant folks that are Mexican, Hispanic descent, we're seeing a lot more about them being detained and deported. We're not seeing as much around Black orgs because we don't have a Black immigration org here. We're spreading out the rapid response number to everybody we know here to say, hey, report whatever you're seeing, no matter like the race, because there are specific groups here that are working for Hispanic folks and make sure they find them. We don't have that here. And so I do think that it also diminishes like how much we're seeing, and people kind of assume that it's not happening that much to Black people. But I was telling folks last week, they rolled up to a whole apartment complex where they knew that there were West African people living and scooped up 27 people, put them in the back of a van. Like, it's definitely happening, but we don't know that because we aren't receiving the information because we don't have the same type of organizing. Like, we're organizing around Black folks who are going to jail. We're not organizing as much around Black folks who are going to deportation centers. So we've had to add that in there. So around the search team, the whole reason why we have that search team is so they can search for people, because we know that they won't be in the actual jail system, but they'll show up in these other 2 deportation systems within like 2 days or so.
Yeah. So I see we're getting onto this. Also, just the logic we talked about abolition. We talked about the logic of policing. Like, as soon as they started talking about warrants and being able to do, like, I'm like, that's just going after Black people. Like, let's be real, guys. If you hear warrants, if you know anything about police and you hear they're going after people with warrants, that just means they're going after anybody. The state is going to get their check. They're going to collect their money. They're going to seize your stuff when they go and arrest you. And warrants are like, people don't even know if they have warrants sometimes. That's how this works. So I think that's important. And I do want to mention another thing, because we've been talking about the things that don't work or the things that we do have and don't have. And so I see Ruben Gutierrez pointing out that Stephen Miller, for example, Donald Trump, Elon Musk identify as neo-Nazis. And we did have a response in Ohio earlier this year regarding neo-Nazis. And it was armed self-defense militias and patrols in our communities. So I just don't want to take those options off the table as well, because as we said, we know what the government can and can't do, but we also know the tradition we're trying to talk about. So I do want to encourage those things as well. Armed self-defense in the face of racist violence is always a strategy.
So Amber, I think you said Memphis is limiting their cooperation, but I was trying to look and see who all was on the sanctuary policies to like limit their cooperation with ICE and other oppressive federal agents. And I wonder if, again, as organizers, do you push for the mayor to engage in that I guess political line, and then can you use those things to organize people to feel more comfortable with that? Again, I know like it's a complex and it's takes more than just the mayor saying
those things.
But and so his position on what it takes to develop these sanctuary policies, because again, when you think about Chicago and places like that, like they, not only them, but even like Cook County in general, the counties, they have those policies, and that could be why the fight will be a little bit different in those cities sometimes, because the people are, as Lorik was saying, like conscious or aware of particular things, and it allows them to like show up differently. So yeah, I wonder if that's like if your mayor explicitly said like we are, or we want to be, or I'm advocating for being a sanctuary or having sanctuary policies.
I don't know. I don't think we have a sanctuary policy. I know that he's mentioned like some like sanctuary city type of language, but they passed a state law in Tennessee that you cannot declare yourself as a sanctuary city. So, I mean, that's also not an option. So, and that passed like a year or two ago. So I also think that, like I said before, different states,
red state, yeah. No, that's fair.
But I also will say that Memphis right now doesn't have a lot of ICE agents. The people that are here are federal agents, over 700, and maybe 200 of those are ICE agents or HSI. but the majority of them are arresting Black people for warrants, arresting Black people for traffic stops. They're arresting niggas for reckless driving because they were doing 10 over, and they can technically say that's reckless driving and arresting them. So also the makeup is different. Like what's happening in Chicago is because they won't let them bring the National Guard there. So they're flooding them with ICE agents. What's happening here is not the same. Yes, it's a lot of ICE agents, a lot of like immigration deportation stops, but also they're packing our jail full of niggas. So it's it's similar, but different in, just a little bit in the fact that like, also we don't have the National Guard here yet. Like they're supposed to be here today, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with these lawsuits. So like there's all this stuff happening too. And once we push back with these lawsuits, although it's not our mayor that's doing it, it's us as organizations, not me, but like it's organizations here doing it. And, you know, we could get some blowback from that too. So we don't know what that would look like either. So it's kind of like a, you know, we're figuring it out as it's going. Like we have a plan, we have a strategy of how we're trying to deal with it, and then we're kind of like seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and then trying to do something else. But like I was saying earlier, although we're trying to use different tactics, we still are pushing back. Like they're still like pushing back against what's happening here. Like that's hasn't changed. Stono said, y'all got any Chicago organizers slated as guests? I can actually ask some of the ones that I know, but if y'all know some too.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great idea. We can definitely keep revisiting this convo. And I think you point out too something. The comments said that they're scrambling. Like, yeah, again, we talk about our enemy. They out-resourced and out-organized us at the moment, but they're not perfect. Like this is not the sign of people who have things in control. And I've been hearing things again, even with the minor pushback about the ICE agents, because these are just people who have been deputized, as folks are pointing out. Like for Alligator Alcatraz, they were offering people a sign-in bonus just to quit their job and just walk on and, you know, guard people. So these are not trained folks. And so even they can be pushed back on, can be made uncomfortable. So I do think, like as you're saying, knowing that the situation is different, taking a look at what Chicago's doing, where they're getting private businesses as well. So restaurants no longer being able to, not being able to, but restaurants choosing not to offer services to these agents when they appear. That's something that's a little beyond just what the city does, and that's when we're talking about getting like local people involved. But if you're saying in Memphis, for example,
we have started that organizing too. Like,
okay, cool.
Looking at what businesses the federal agents are eating at, so we can tell folks to not go there, and then two, looking at places to like tell businesses like, hey, we're like have these little our outreach committee has created like these little flyers or whatever to get the folks like, hey, do not allow these people like in here, like you as a private business have rights. But what we're experiencing is that like for people who are not white, they're like, I don't know if I can do that. Like they don't feel confident in saying that because they don't want to be targeted. Because there were like a whole bunch of federal agents at a Mexican market yesterday that has like a restaurant inside. And most of the people in there were like, well, we didn't want to say nothing because we don't want them trying to arrest us. And half of us are undocumented. So like, I get it. And it's also like having to build a muscle of people to like push back, because not everyone is going to be like me and other organizers who are like very militant and very like, no, fuck that shit. Like we're going to, you know, push back regardless. We're going to fight back no matter what. Some people are going to be like, no, we're just going to, you know, chill out to let them do what they want to do so they can just leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
The war highlight these comment too, because she said most of the people snatching up folks are not ICE agents, they've been deputized. So something we've noticed here too is that even though they're saying they've been deputized, they've still been waiting for like HSI or someone else to show up. So they aren't fully, I don't know if they don't feel fully confident in what they're doing, but that's something else we noticed is that like they're still waiting for them to show up, and then they might take that person in a different like car. And also they're riding in state trooper cars. State troopers are not ICE agents either. They cannot be deputized as ICE agents. They're not federal agents. And because they're not riding in Memphis police cars, they're using these state trooper vehicles. So that's also a issue too, which makes it even more difficult to kind of figure out like what kind of chain of command they're using, because ICE agents also cannot, I mean, the state troopers aren't ICE agents. They can't act like them. So they have to wait and detain someone until that person shows up. And it's a lot. Someone also asked me, I think I saw it earlier. Puna asked in my own TikTok. My TikTok is A is for Afro. Same as my Instagram, same as my thing on here. Do you want me to pull up this article or you going to give up?
No, I'll give up. We can close out our thoughts here. I'll drop
You
it in the chat.
sure?
Yeah, I mean, we can if you want to. It just says the things that are being done. So they're
You want me to read it?
basically, yeah. If you, I think it's in the third paragraph, fourth. I can't count. Fourth paragraph down. Talking about
Mayor Johnson's most recent Protecting Chicago executive order comes following the documented use of Chicago public schools parking lots and a city-owned parking lot at Harrison and Kedzie as staging sites for federal immigration enforcement operations, a violation of Chicago's Welcoming City Ordinance. The use of city resources for these actions erodes trust between immigrant communities and the city, weakening the relationships that are essential to ensuring community safety and constitutional policing. Under Mayor Johnson's leadership, the city is taking swift and decisive action to prevent these transgressions and wield municipal power to protect the safety, dignity, and human rights of every Chicagoan, regardless of race, religion, immigration status, or national origin. As ordered by Mayor Johnson, city departments and agencies will identify all spaces that have been used or may be used for federal immigration enforcement operations. City workers will then ensure that all such properties exhibit clear signage stating this property is owned and or controlled by the city of Chicago. It may not be used for civil immigration enforcement, including as a staging area, processing location, or operations base.
So
my thing is, how will they enforce this though?
Right. Well, this is my point. Because I think we're talking about multiple forces here and a war of attrition. So like the ICE agents, the federal agents, for example, are having some tensions with Chicago police. Right. But at the same time, to Geechee's point, we know where they are aligned. So Commissioner Snelling, after seeing this executive order, was basically like, yeah, not really enforcing it. We're not here to stop federal agents from doing their jobs. So obviously, we know that the police, to some degree, are not going to go along with this. At the same time, he was pointing out situations where these federal agents are overreacting or causing unrest, are beating, citizens up, and Chicago PD's like, that's our job. So they're basically saying that they're not doing this well, and it's affecting our ability to work. So Mayor Johnson can lean on Snelling in the sense of, are your Chicago officers able to do their jobs and that kind of thing? See how the National Guard is messing with you. Likewise, I'm hearing like the National Guard aren't allowed to drink water or use restrooms in places and stuff. And so I think this is to mobilize the civic sector of Chicago society to do something. And to the point about like ICE are pulling up to elementary schools and stuff, how many videos of that do we see? That is something, that contradiction that I think mobilizes a lot of people, right? It's so unacceptable. It disrupts civil society so much that people are willing to do something. But I don't think people are willing to take that risk if they don't see they have some sort of support. As you're even pointing out, the mayor won't take that risk if he doesn't think he has the governor having his back. So I do think people like restaurant owners, teachers, administrators, all these things, city employees, now seeing that they have some sort of support, can then resist and enforce this policy. But as we said, it's not going to be from the police. So it's got to be schools themselves, where their kids are getting stopped by ICE, are going to have to do this. The parking lots, like they were talking about, city employees are going to have to stand up and do it. And we already know the city employees are getting, harassed, might get arrested, all of those things. But I think it's a lot different when your boss is on your side versus when, you're kind of ass out and left to fight for yourself.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ichi?
I don't think. I have nothing of value to contribute.
You're a liar.
I don't. Not there.
Somebody in the chat said, I found it. Someone in the chat said A for astonishing. And I just think that's so cute.
Well done. Thank you for the undefeated chat. I feel like this is a natural conclusion to this section. Did y'all have anything else you wanted to talk about? I know we might have guests on in the future, so that's a great suggestion, and we can talk about
I do think we should reach out to some of the Chicago and Portland folks to talk with them about and I can ask the person I talked to yesterday on the live about some other organizers that we can reach out to have come on too.
Cool. And then we got Geechee's comrade in Japan that we still got to prep for too. So
if they ever come on.
Well, we got to prep. I haven't read all the things Geechee sent us, so that's a little on our side too. But yeah.
It's kind of like since we're sharing online. I mean, but it's kind of like and it's a little bit difficult. It's kind of like not the typical interview because we know they're coming on, they set a date, but for them, because their organizing efforts are kind of like dispersed and the brother is locked away, like they want to be able to prep for it and actually get him some of the questions and then be able to prepare. So that's kind of why they're waiting on us to send some.
Okay, we're working on that this week then. Thank you, Geisha, for reminding us. But I knew that we were supposed to be doing that, but I was like, yeah. I just want to say, y'all are really killing it today.
I knew you would find out what
Amber is. Amber is. Thank you so much.
I knew you would find that.
Even the movement against fascism couldn't make me ugly.
Oh man, no, those movements make the hottest folks.
I agree. Y'all will never sleep deprive me. I know that's one motherfucking right. You can keep texting and calling me after 9 if y'all want. I'm gonna be asleep because I gotta be up early to be out in the streets.
Amber's gonna get in there.
We should never put you on to that song.
Huh?
We should never put you on to that song.
Oh man,
I am, man.
I think I dropped the video in the chat for the next portion, which is going to be one of our favorites.
Wait, do you think I'm Gen Z, MJ?
No,
I don't know what none of that mean, but maybe
Gen Z behavior. You Gen Z coded.
I'm a millennial. I'm sorry to break it to
We are
y'all.
millennials. You talked about AJ and Free and 106 in Park. You ain't no damn Gen Z.
I'm saying.
She watching old joint trying to impress.
Oh, what on BT Plus? Like, how do you watch 106 in Park?
Geechee, can you pull up Lori's video? I need to let my dog outside. I'm sorry.
You don't know who Blind Fury?
Blind Fury. All of this stuff is on. That's all.
South Carolina.
Cable TV.
Yo used to get it. I ain't even gonna lie.
In the night, you still had commercials at 3 a.m. for BET. That's the generation coming from.
So you want to queue up
some context on this video. We've been talking about relationships many times, and so I always think it's important to look at them historically, so it doesn't sound like I thought that was Renee. I thought we had a cameo. That's so funny. Sorry. So we are looking at an earlier video, 1970, Black Women and Men Debate Their Relationship on TV. Thought this archival work was really interesting and important to recognize how 50 plus years ago, a lot of the conversations and struggles we're having today were already going on, and looking at the roots of those, some of the tensions there, and how we can move forward.
Racial pride is not new for many African Americans, but the resurgence of Black awareness and pride, Black men and women face new problems, not only in relation to white society, but to each other in a Black society. Recently, there has been a stream of articles on this subject, and the Chicago Daily Defender, America's largest Black newspaper, began a series some weeks ago on the emergence of the new Black woman. Benny Washington, reporter for the paper, surveyed the Chicago scene to report on how Black men and women believe the revolution in racial pride will affect them and their families, before the sociologists and experts tell us how we are supposed to react.
As a reporter for the Chicago Daily Defender, and as a Black woman married to a Black man, I become deeply aware of the effects of this new Black revolution on the relationship between Black man and Black woman. I see it among my own friends, and I also see it in my home. But the most revealing and the most vocal statements about what the new Black man expects from the new Black woman came when I met with a group of young unmarried friends one Saturday afternoon.
I think that what's happening in America as far as Black men, Black women is concerned is that there's a revolution within a revolution. We are fighting our own woman. Our woman will not allow us to emerge as Black men. No. But our Black women, who has been put in this role of aiding white America, white structure, and castrating the Black male, has continued doing this. She cannot live with us. It's not that we can't live with her.
Are you blaming us? Are you saying that it's our fault that this happened?
No, I'm not blaming Black America women. I just said that I'm blaming the system. They are victims of the system like the Black male.
Well, why do you say that we are castrating you? You say that you want to be the leaders. Okay, well, what about the Black professional woman? Are you saying that there should be no Black professional woman? Are you trying to deny Black women the right to be creative, the right to function?
We're not asking for you to take a back seat. We're saying that you have got to be astute enough
and can view the situation well enough where you just automatically know what your role is and step back. And whenever you want to have that aggressive thing, this is the thing that the young black man today is not going to tolerate. My old man tolerated it because his old man tolerated it. It came up for years and years and years. But today, the young black man is not going to take it. He's going to be out there as a leader.
White America has used black women to keep the black male in his place. And you're still aiding him by saying, well, we are qualified, we want to work, we can help.
Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're going to get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
You don't want to live on the level of income that I can afford you and love me on the basis of that. You want to always be aspiring to have all those things that's a part of the great middle class white American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
For these women, the men are there. But with the feeling of racial pride has come new conflicts and new...
Do the first point. Someone's asking when this came about. It's 1970. So it's just the Black Power movement. 1970 discussion. As people are already pointing out, this is not new. So these things have already existed. This is an old conversation, but all these talking points are pretty familiar. I think we've all heard them still to this day in community. So initial thoughts, what are we feeling when we take a look back into the past and see the kind of stuff our elders and ancestors were struggling with?
So I think initially I and we talked about this, and I know we probably gonna have more conversation, and I'm not sure if recently you and Cherie been in more conversation, but like I know this is a clip or edited clip that I remember her sending, but it wasn't the full clip.
Yeah.
But even seeing the full clip, which is still edited for TV, the grounding around what the definition of revolution, they keep using revolution, and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here in terms of revolution? Which revolution? I do remember a conversation that Diallo was having, which I think is one of the better conversations around Black love. So Amos Wilson did a video back in the day, and then Diallo did a new one, and I feel like people should watch both of those and be in conversation. I know Barter and Bill Think Tank, we did that. Because even when you talk about the new man and new woman, I'm just really curious what they're talking about, because I know there's some revolutionary thinkers who talk about a new man, new woman, and I'm just not sure that that's being clear there, because when dude was like, they have to be programmed, and they were talking about program. Well, if you talk about a new man and new woman, then you're talking about two different programs. The old man, how that old man and woman was programmed, and then how the new man and woman was programmed. And then what is the functionality of the program that they receive is what I'm thinking. And then if we, again, think about propaganda and the ways in which Black men and Black women have been engaging and or terrorized by a system that wants both of them dead, we can talk about the differences and the nuances and how they show up, but both of them are victims to a systems. And so, and then I'll say here too, more Amos Wilson's, as you can see, I'm Wilsonian. When these motherfuckers have the domains of discourse, like what we're arguing about, even though they're not present, the motherfuckers are still present.
Yep.
So the framing of the arguments and the reactions and all these other things. So whenever dude was like something about tolerating and all this other shit, and like you have to know the like your analysis had to be well enough. Again, I'm just not sure that being a man makes you have a better analysis. I think that's weird. I think that
talk about it, Geechee.
I don't think you have even the full analysis if you're not including all folks who are dominated by this these tyrants. So it's kind of similar to the elephant joint. Like if all of us blind and all of us touching the elephant, how the fuck you gonna know how the elephant is if you're not hearing from everybody who's touching the elephant? And so you can know how to fight the elephant or organize against the elephant, because you know that, oh, I forgot this motherfucker got a tusk. The person who was explaining who's feeling the tusk, we said their opinion doesn't count. And so when you get picked in your fucking stomach by the tusk, that's because you didn't listen to it.
Yep.
So yeah, and then again, how white America uses black women, black men, and black children should all be in analysis. So there are specific propaganda that's targeted for each of those people. And if you're not bringing all those things to the conversation, we're wasting our fucking time if we're trying to do anything. And then lastly, then Tume had a good point. I would just love to see, for grounding purposes, who the fuck these people were, what orgs they were fashioned with or connected to, or background, right? So I think that will help too. So can we have a broader understanding? I think I'll stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd be happy to bring that in. Amber, do you have some initial thoughts? Cool.
I won't say much since, people try to say that I'm a misandrist, but I do agree with most of what Geechee said, and that, we have to include all voices.
Misandrist, that's a funny word. So
I don't feel like it's really misandry. I think I just want the downfall of men.
I mean, that's like saying matriarchy, like it's an ideal. It doesn't exist in the real world. So I think what this brought to mind to me is when we talk about the diaspora and our struggle against colonialism, to your point, Geechee, like obviously we're all colonized, so we're all fed propaganda, socialized in a certain way, targeted and violently assaulted by colonialism. Like that's how that works. In this case, what I was interested in, because again, it's coming out of the Black Power movement, is how these brothers are still fashioning themselves in their mind's eye like Europeans, to your point about the programming. So I think of the women in Guinea-Bissau, there's a discussion, revolution within a revolution, or fighting two colonialisms. Now, we could argue it's just one colonialism, but their whole point is that this gendered way of understanding the world that has been imposed on our people is something that a lot of Black men have been socialized to accept, Black women have been socialized to accept, Black children have been socialized to accept, and then this is how it manifests. So even though you are talking about Black history in Africa, we have people who have an idealist, a romanticized version of Africa, which is just a reflection of white people's views, right, of society. So when they try and recreate the world, the only image they have in their head is the image that white people gave them. So even when they're talking about this African world, this African vision, it just sounds like a white man. You sound like a white man to me. And that's what this was. My woman needs to be subordinated. You want me to make so much money. Again, like assuming, didn't even ask, God forbid you ask your woman, like, what is she feeling? What does she want? What does she need? Because this man immediately is like, you want me to this person. You want me to make all this money and make you feel good and all those things. So she doesn't even get to respond. And then usually I've seen this kind of thing when somebody responds, the immediate response is, well, you don't really mean that. So now, even if she does respond, his point is going to be, oh, you don't really mean that. If we actually did it, you would say the opposite. You don't care about how a man treats you, you want money. So even when women are saying explicitly what they desire, we're seeing that colonialism, that colonized mind of these men kind of even ignore their own people. So
I thought the Guinea-Bissau example was really good because it's one of my favorite things to like that I've studied about the women of Guinea-Bissau and like how they have battled against the way that people use gender and like using matriarchal rule. I just think it's so cool. And I also think that I did my little African ancestry test. So my ancestors are from Guinea-Bissau. And I think that when you look at like the history of places, you can definitely see it reflected in your own families. Like I can definitely see the way that matriarchal rule is very prevalent in my own like family line on my mother's side. So I always think it's really interesting, like hearing how other folks apply that kind of stuff. And I had read about those things before I found out that my ancestors were from Guinea-Bissau. So I already knew about like Emile Cabral. I had known about like this matriarchal society they had, like their arguments around gender. I had already read all that stuff. So it was really cool to find out like in the end, like a year or two later.
Big African, and not little. You said I did my little African.
Big. Where? I haven't found the nation yet. Damn, yo.
So Amber,
also a reason why I thought about learning Portuguese was to go to Guinea-Bissau, but I was like, I don't know.
Amber, we want your broader analysis and response to that first clip before we go to the second part. So I don't want you to timid or silence your full expression.
Oh my God! Please stop. Who said this? Who said something like that in the chat that you saw?
We gonna go to the next part. But
Wait, what you say? I don't think of that on my own. What are you talking about? I didn't see that in the chat.
No, I thought that I agreed about the words. I feel like people use certain words, even though it's not the exact meaning that they have. Like when they were saying revolution, or even like some of the toning that the men were using, it felt very like adversarial and like they're fighting against each other. And I feel like the black woman was saying like that's not what we're saying. And I also feel like I've experienced things where like men also don't believe when women say stuff like that. Like I don't care about how much money someone makes or something like that. Most people I've dated, I've made more money than. They didn't know I did, but most of them I did, and it was not a big deal to me. I think that how you're treated in relationships and the person and their character and things about them that you like are really the most important, but that men don't believe that women really think that. I think that men have been sold this narrative about like how much money they make and where they work and how they dress that makes them think that that's not enough. But I think we have told them that's not enough. And also society does push the narrative that we don't think that too. So I feel like you have to push back against multiple narratives of like one, us saying we don't feel that way, which I think is reflected in the way that people's families are made up. Like, yeah, the media might be saying this, but when you look at folks' families, I've seen a lot of women be the breadwinner and they were perfectly fine. Like, so I also think we should look at reality and not what's being like pushed upon us.
Yes, absolutely, Amber. Definitely agree.
Yeah, there is I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, you want to play the second part of the clip? Oh yeah, really quickly, because my one of my homeboys, Sam Bellamy and Charleston, was sharing what's that one when they talk about redlining. Boy, you almost made me say what's up. You almost made me swing, bro. I was about to just, but anyway, my bad. I'm sorry. Somebody in the studio. I was like, but yeah, I can't remember the book around.
Say, what you going through?
Yeah, because I was like, yo, what is it? What's the book? It's about redlining, and it's very similar to The Whiteness of Wealth, the one that everybody.
Color of Law by Richard Lawson.
Yeah, Color of Law. Yeah. So he put up The Color of the Law, and I was like, yo, The Color of the Law, Whiteness of Wealth, 15 cents on a dollar, and The Myth of Propaganda, Black Buying Power are all kind of books that should be kind of like, I guess, approached. But the Whiteness of Wealth specifically was talking about how Dorothy Brown, who's a black woman who, like Mercer Baradaran, they all kind of like was engaged in something else. Mercer Baradaran was studying banks and then found out that the intentional assault on black banks. So she changed her book to The Color of Money, Black Banks. And Dorothy was like, I'm a lawyer and I don't want to do anything with race. I want to just, that's why she became a tax lawyer and found out that that's actually more racial. So Amber, when you was talking, there are a lot of systemic things that make black men feel a particular way. So for instance, what Dorothy talked about, a white man can make $100,000 because of how the system is set up. His wife wouldn't have to work and they be taxed different. But for a black household to make $100,000, the wife going to make $50,000 and the black man going to make $50,000. And at the end of the day, after they come home from work, they still got to take care of the house and all other things, and they're taxed differently. So I think having conversations around those type of things could be like, okay, what goes into making this black man feel this way and vice versa, this black woman feel this way? And I just think sometimes we skip over that. So, I think Lord does a good job at this, and Black Men Bill does a good job at this, of letting people come as they are and meeting them where they're at when they're billing. So like, you're going to come in there with some weird ass reactionary logic and they're going to allow you to get that shit out, but then they're going to push you in the capacity that you can be pushed because they've already built a relationship with you. So I think that type of conversation is important. And sometimes these people are not even in relationship. They are pushed into a space, camera and the lights are on, and be like, go. And they're really like tussling. But yeah, my bad.
Ready.
So yeah, we talked about
black men and women face
middle third. a little further behind that. Behind.
No, I thought it was before
Oh
that.
shit.
Yeah,
Go,
right.
go,
When the
go,
women start talking
go.
to around. Yeah, you were no further back.
Right
Further
here.
back. Keep going. I'll tell you when. Keep going there. Right
Okay.
after the woman had finished talking. The thing I was gonna say, Geechee, is like what you said with Jubilee. Absolutely. Like, how are these things set up? All the things Renee was talking about with Jubilee being staged and all of those things. I do think there's a little more of an organic community feel. This is tied to like the Chicago Defender. So there are Black institutions that are putting this together compared to Jubilee, which I think should be noted. And as we're getting to, like, what are you aiming at? Like, they're talking about Black power and revolution, as you're saying, and yet everything is punching down. Everything is aiming at the wrong subject. So this is why I just say this is the right. You can see seeds of the manosphere that we deal with now in this. You can see incel culture here, right? The right-wing mass white shooters that I see talk like this about women and how they can't get a thing. And at the end of the day, your problem is with capitalism, as you said, Geechee. Like, your problem is not with the Black woman making money next to you. That's just ridiculous. So sorry. Jump back.
Thanks. Yeah.
American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
For these women, the men are there. But with the feeling of racial pride has come new conflicts and new problems. Across America, they meet to discuss what Black awareness means to their families and to them as Black women of today.
You know, there have been a lot of myths created about the Black family. We all recognize that. And one of the most pernicious myths is the myth of the Black matriarch, you know, and this whole concept. And I think this is one of the reasons that the Black community reacted so negatively to the Moynihan report, because we know that that's not true.
It was not
the Black woman has not been a matriarch in the sense that it has been defined thus far. And thank God research, and I hope Black research, is being done now to reverse that kind of thing. In fact, the Black woman has been a woman at the head of a household, not by choice, but by necessity. And more often, that's right, and more often than not, she is not a strong, matriarchal, aggressive, domineering figure. She is a woman in search of a man. But this story has not been told.
The prejudiced society created what we have now. So that's what we were. Okay, we have a revolution going on. We're part of the revolution.
We're in the evolution. I think the revolution is yet to come. Yeah, it's the
well, this thing will
keep tossing the word revolution around lightly. Everybody.
Actress Val Ward performs the works of our Black poets and dramatists. For her, Black awareness is not revolutionary, but the very foundation of her marriage. Val's husband, Francis Ward, talks of the struggles of the Black family in the past and the obstacles that lie ahead.
It's extremely important for Black history and culture to be transmitted from generation to generation. And the best way, the most effective way that this has always been done is through the family, acting as the primary unit of social organization. And I think one reason why it has not been done with Black people is because of the destruction done to our family life.
Oh.
Capitalism. Gotta get that ad. Good stuff. You want to finish?
Pick up the thread of Afro-American history and culture.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I saw Lorik's face when he said that the Black organizational structure. Lorik was like,
Yeah, I'm a fan. A little bit. I want to, just before that quote, the family is the basic unit of social organization, is another one we have to be really careful about.
The nuclear family.
Which family? Right, exactly. Because when we were talking about Africa, the African family, even if you were to say that, I'm okay with that. But they're talking about multi-generational homes with elder councils and, kinship, like your cousin, and that's how you do land stewardship, that kind of thing. That is not the family that conservatives are talking about when they're saying we need the nuclear family mom, dad, 2.5 kids, picket fence, a dog, and a gas guzzling, SUV, right? That is the nuclear family that they're saying is the basis of society. So I just think we have to be real clear when delineating what we mean by family in an African context, particularly like an Afro-American context, right? Because for us here, family means anybody that we hold in community, love, and take care of. It's your found family. It's, plantations ripping our families apart and us making new ones. So I just really want to complicate that concept of family, compared to how the Europeans use it.
Yeah. And I think maybe, and I know we're going to hit play, but Amber, if you have something to say, please chime in. In terms of like the biological or social context of what you say mom or dad, the social context versus biological. And I wonder if it's more clear to have an argument around the biological mom and dad should have a healthy, safe environment to not only conceive, but birth. And then however they decide to cultivate a nurturing experience for the child is more of a complex conversation than the just rigid mom, dad, or whatever the case may be. But in order for a child to get here, like, what is the environments that the two people who are coming together to bring a child here? Like, I think we should focus more on the environment than the arrangements of quote unquote the family, which again, I think one would argue is a social arrangement, and there shouldn't be a rigid definition or force of what the social should look like. Because I guess it's Taylor, but go ahead, Amber. If nothing, we'll go.
That has been left off generations ago when Africans were sold into slavery, when the family unit was purposely destroyed. Part of the obligation of being black is to make absolutely certain that whoever has any kind of control or jurisdiction over your kid, is not bringing him into conflict with the kinds of things we teach. We try to instill in them here in the home.
Most middle-class homes, quote middle-class homes, like I don't even get caught up in that bag, you go into will have some copy of anybody, any white artist, I don't even have to name anybody, instead of the works of black artists. I think it starts, especially that identity part, the books, the kinds of books. All of these things start in the home rather than complaining about them being in the schools at this point.
Unless we're absolutely certain of how that teacher is handling them, then we may have to assume that whole responsibility. We may have to pull them out of school ourselves, and do all the educating ourselves.
Say, for instance, when they say to my child to draw, last year Rhonda painted Abraham Lincoln brown and she was put in the corner, We had to go up to the school and deal with that. They must be respectable to their peers in school. And what we do, we handle that. We don't say, you jump up, you curse that teacher out, or you say it doesn't exist. But they see us at that school knocking on the door. You have to be in there. Either we're going to control, their minds here, or at least give them the choice.
A lot of this is new to us, and a lot of these things we're grappling with, and we don't want to give anybody the impression that we have the answer to everything.
Not only that, let me cut you off again. People go around talking about hate. We really don't have time to hate because, it goofs up the bag. We're loving ourselves. Mm-hmm. This might bring around a lot of other different things.
To be black means to love. It's got nothing to do with having to hate anybody.
It does determine, though, Francis, and has nothing to do with hate. Again, it's love. That we might have to do certain things to protect that love.
It may bring us into conflict with somebody.
Necessary to protect that love.
Finally, I asked Francis about the standards of today's black man as compared with those of 20 years ago.
Standards which white society had projected. I think these standards were that he had to become successful according to the white mode. He had to get a good job, he had to buy a good car, he had to move to the suburbs, he had to rear a good family that went to church every Sunday, that did everything that the typical good American family was supposed to do. And I don't think the black man necessarily is addicted to that notion. I think he sees the falsity of it. I think he sees the total hypocrisy of it. I think he wants to rear a tightly knit family, but not for the purposes that white society says. He doesn't want to rear a family for any sham purposes, just to fulfill some false ethic, but he wants to rear a good family in order to have his children strong, reared in his own image perhaps, and to transmit, most importantly, to transmit the values which he is learning to his children, and to try to ensure as best he can that his children will transmit those same values to their children, and have the same transmission repeated from generation to generation.
Listen to me. I am a woman. Black, that is. And there is but one thing which brings tears to my eyes. And that is to hear man, woman, or child stand up with strength and say, I'm proud. I'm black. And that's beautiful.
That dress she wearing is cute.
I wish I had the flex bomb drop after. Damn, that was good at the end. That was so beautiful. Yeah, I love that. How that ended. I loved.
Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
Appreciate you. Because man, so much of that is an embodiment of the work. Not just that Black Men Build does, but I think that a lot of us do. I heard reproductive justice all throughout that, which defines reproductive justice as what you said, Geechee. Like, we have to create an environment for our community to thrive, where children can grow up and be taken care of by the village, not by this individual patriarch and his ability to find a job and provide for a family, right? Mm-hmm. So I love that. Go ahead.
No, go. I'm sorry. I was about to say Amber.
So that's not the dynamic. Oh my God, he got cut off by his wife. Whoa. he was okay, guys. Look at that strong Black man letting his wife talk, being okay if he got cut off a little bit. They were aligned. And last thing I know you say was African Period's comment. I really appreciated it. Again, just talking about a healthy form of marriage. I was married for 39 years when my spouse passed 3 years ago. Sometimes I made more, sometimes my husband did. We both did housework, changed diapers, and organized. That's what we're trying to move people to. Thank you, African Period, for sharing that. That's beautiful. Sorry for your loss.
Amber, do you want to share your responses?
As a woman.
womb man and
she did. That's a poet. She did.
And Gullah, we said woman. I said this before on the thing, so let's see if we can get this. Woman them fast smart.
Women are fast?
No.
The people fast?
Woman them fast smart. Women have more intelligence or maturity than men. They're superior to men in intellectual capacity.
Now, how was I going from the 3 words you said?
Woman, them fast smart.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, Amber, your final thoughts on Geechee's goofing off.
Go ahead.
I thought it was a good video. I think that I like the husband asserting like that, his wife isn't less than or doing something wrong if she cuts him off by mistake. I feel like they were having a good discussion in general. Like, I think that I wish people watch more videos like this when we're doing this whole gender war thing, because it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
But this is my point. So that's why if y'all read the caption to the video, and I'll drop it in the chat, there's some background on how this video came to be, on who these people are, all of that. And that was why I mentioned the Jubilee thing, to point out Jubilee does not have any concern about doing this. That is not why they're doing their video. So we just have to compare and contrast the two, where they point out all the views you might see in the community. They even, like you said, that people show up a little raggedy, expose like how they're thinking right now. And then they draw you toward a positive conclusion, momentum, direction for action for Black people. That is what the goal of this media should be. And that's typically not what we find. We just get that first part of the conversation clipped on Instagram, going viral, and full of bots, spreading misinformation. So,
so I really appreciate the conversation around how to treat each other, and I think sometimes we failed to recognize that even in relationships, like our ideas of relationships and our idea of things come into it, and instead of learning that there are two different people with different life experiences, different traumas or whatever, that would have to negotiate and talk through what and how the dynamics that they have. And I think, just not having a particular culture. And I think this is kind of go back into my point about how I feel like everybody should study Marimba Ani's work on Yurugu. I think she does a really good job explaining what asili is, which is a germinating seed of a culture. Utamawazo, which is a structural thought, how you get people to think in a way to achieve the asili. And then Utamaroho talks about the life force behind it. Like, what are people deeply seated feelings and emotions that allows them to continuously to do a thing. Because I think in there, like, without having a culture of our own, without building relationships of our own of how we engage with each other and being clear around that, like, we can kind of go into these wars and, as the sister was saying, myths. But another word is like rhetorical ethic, like how these things are meant to mean a thing, but it's really specifically only for white folks. And we internalize a lot of things and try to implement them when we don't even have the capacity to do that. And then I think the brother was talking about passing down values to their children. And I'm always curious about how to examine those values. And then when people say like they're Pan-African, it's like, well, back in the days in Africa, we used to do this thing. And I'm like, my nigga, it changes, right? And so if you Pan-African and culture, it should be doing the best thing for the people now. So the things that work then probably can't work then now because you're in a different, so it's a living thing. And then lastly, whenever I think he was talking about black and love or whatever, another thing you can learn in Yurugu is how Marimba Ani studied like cultural thought, white European cultural thought, rooting it back to Platonic thought. And it talked about how Europeans are really focused on dichotomizations and othering of things. So whether it's nature, women, or whatever, and in terms of black folks being love, it's no, like they had a focus in a sense on ecology and understanding that like they all one and the same, right? And like you need the planet, you need the earth, you need the women, the children in order to like evolve. And when you're dichotomizing and you're trying to dominate the other as opposed to be in relationship with other, which is what I think ecology is, that's when you get into this like urge of death culture. So Europeans teach you to die as opposed to live. So that's why a lot of even language around like who would you die for and all this other wild shit. But yeah,
I agree. I love that. I know we're about to close out. The only thing I say about Yurugu is, while I appreciate it, I do have some critiques. Only thing I would do is pair it with a Walter Rodney. Pair it with one who's more a dialectical materialist, and root some of these European thought patterns in their history, in their material societies, things of that nature. So we don't pathologize them because they are members of the human family, just like us. And so we don't want to think of them as some sort of bizarre supernatural creatures. That's how we kind of get out of our correct analysis. But I definitely appreciate Yurugu for critiquing European thought. I think that's always a worthwhile endeavor. So appreciate you for highlighting that. Yeah, it's long as hell too, Keontae. You absolutely, it's a long, that's a long philosophy book to get through. So definitely.
How long did it take you to read it?
For me, I read it, I think 2 weeks roughly was about how long it took for me. I like Nkrumah's conscientism and then Walter Rodney. So I was having those side by side, mostly because I agree with Marimba Ani's mission and critiquing European thought and reason and looking for African ways of thinking, knowing, and being. Very much appreciate that. I just think when we don't root those in the material history, in the actual cultures that still exist to this day, we start idealizing them and kind of getting away from where we should go. And then to Walter Rodney's point, and I don't think Ani would necessarily disagree, the only culture that's useful is a revolutionary culture, right? So again, I don't care if they did that shit 400 years ago. If it don't work now, I don't need it. I am an African in 2025, not an African in 1555. So that's very important. But
I mean, it's a good point.
Amber is definitely trying to multitask and knowing that she can.
No, I think that's a good point that the era that what you're in and what you're studying matters versus like back in the day, different type of reactions. I was actually listening, Geechee.
Yeah, I think
really,
you will. I can tell you locked in, Amber. I got my little brother and his brain the same as yours, so I could tell.
Yeah, no, I want to express the reason why I would even bring up Yurugu, not for her geopolitical or anything, like, you know, because she didn't do well at all with Marx and some other things, but specifically the idea around culture and how culture interacts with folks. So that's why I said Utama Wazo, Utama Rojo, like the other stuff, like there's gonna be a lot of stuff in there, but I'm thinking more so of even the cosmological and the spiritual thing. I'm not really focused on that as much as I'm that framework around culture, on how it has broken down in 3 parts. That's what I'm more focused on.
Yeah, no, you on it, and she's super sharp around the othering, that like the logic of othering in European thought and philosophy, how it originates from them. How all the Greek philosophers thought of women as property and like slavery, like that kind of thing. She's good at those receipts as well, and then of giving an alternative. Yeah, Cabral's another one you could add in there to get your more materialist foundation. Then I think you can pull some of these valuable things out of your review.
I've been reading some Cabral like through this, and I do think that I really like the way that he explains things to people. And
now I know you related. Now I know that's your ancestor, so it's good to know. That's real cool.
Yeah, but I was reading it before I knew that. But since Geechee wanted to bring it up, I was multitasking because I have to post the rapid response updates every morning about what areas people should avoid going to, so they don't get arrested by the police.
Respect.
Oh, now that's
got a good reason, huh, Geechee? All right, wait, we're almost over by 10 minutes. So, closing thoughts, Geechee, Amber, what y'all got going on this week?
I am turning off. I will be 42 on Monday.
You love a Libra.
But I'm cutting myself off to all folks in the world that I don't know for sure care and love me, care about and love me. So yeah, I'm just gonna be spending time with the people that I fucks with.
You're gonna do something with your girlfriend in your secret relationship?
It's not secret if you keep exposing it on air.
I mean, I never said anything about secret. You know, Amber like to be disrespectful and messy, but no, I'm gonna be with everybody who I love and they love me. So my brother gonna be around, my cousins, my people.
I would say you love some mess.
Just with the mess.
Not an idealist. You don't have to be a messy person, but you do like some mess.
Just with the mess.
Yep. What you got going on, Amber? I know you're doing some work on.
I'm going to see a musical, and that's about it. I'll still be doing like rapid response support, but I'm also going to see a musical. I'm really excited about it.
Cool.
What about you, Lord? What you got going?
I need a weekend break. We got the mayoral race going on down here. I think we got a community run with our lead organizer in Miami, so I might show up table for that, provide some support. But yeah, I'm chilling this weekend. I need a break. I'm tired. My partner's out of town, so I got to be on boyfriend duty. It's good to chill out a little bit. So that's my plan. Sleep and
I love
read.
That for you.
Finish. I got to finish. Oh, yeah, you gotta, Geechee. Yeah, I gotta finish this right here.
Oh, listen. We need to do a little study group. Hey, Bart and Bill, we might need to circle back. You know. Because I'm telling you, bro, it's so much in that book.
The book is really good.
We're gonna get into this. All right. But anyway, that's my weekend. So I'll probably be sending y'all screenshots and stuff.
You invited me,
right? Oh, you got a show on.
I know you got an interview with my peoples, but you ain't never invite me. But I don't know.
Well, get you to spell out. He got some work. Enjoy that. I will be like,
I love those people. I love and respect those people on that show. So I definitely will show up if I gotta show up for them people. You heard me?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, all right, Amber, you want to take us out?
Thank y'all for tuning in to the Remix Morning Show. Amber, everyone's favorite. Lorik, Geechee's turning 42, which we wouldn't have known because he looks 32. So love that for him. Let me see what else. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to the Patreon. Donate. donate specifically for in my honor. You know, ignore Lord.
Yeah,
Geechee.
put your note,
Do
put your
because you
Amber
love
note.
me.
Exactly. And to you, we say peace if you're willing to fight for it. As Chairman
No.
Fred
I'm
used to say.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What did I do? Geechee, the one to take friends to a function and then disappear is
We in
what?
trouble on the outro. Geechee, handle this in private. All right, y'all. Peace if you're willing to fight for it. As Chairman Fred Hampton and our comrade Jared both say, we love y'all. Enjoy the weekend.
Peace.
Amber, you taking us out?
Oh, I thought we were just, gonna freestyle it.
We're gonna freeze it. How many freeze? Come on, close it.
My mouse isn't working on my computer. I'm sorry.
Remix. 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 Remix.